irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
The moment has arrived. LA Talk Radio, now listen live. The queen is here. Pose for the cameras. Tune in. Time is now for the even more fabulous. Fabulous. You are now listening to the Mother Love Show. You are now listening to the Mother Love Show. You are now listening to the Mother Love Show. Love Show.
Hello, my cyber babies. Welcome to an awesome day in LA Talk Radio. I am your host, Mother Love. I come to you live and in living color. Well, as opposed to coming to you dead in black and white, I'm here with you Monday through Friday from 2 o'clock p.m. until 3:50 Pacific Standard Time. Wait, what, babies? Did I hear you whisper? Did you murmur? Did you think? Oh, I just can't get to the computer. I can't get to my iPhone. I have things to do, places to go, people to see. I have money to make. Besides, my boss won't let me listen to you in the middle of the day because you know you're going to say something profound or crazy and I'm going to start laughing or crying or whatever. Don't you worry, baby. Mother has your back. All you have to do is go to latalkradio.com, click on the Mother Love Show on Channel 1, and voila, there we are for your aspiration, your inspiration, and for your motivation. Remember to like Mother. Oh, before you remember all that, remember this. We want you to be inspired to step into your purpose. Oh, babies, because you have a purpose. Be inspired to know that you have that purpose and not be afraid, not be fearful to step into that purpose and be motivated. Oh, babies, be motivated to knock that bushel off of your light and shine. Oh, baby, shine like the star you are. Remember to like Mother Love on Facebook, follow me on Twitter at Mother Love Show, and remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Oh, babies, you never know who's going to be on my YouTube channel. Like this awesome, intelligent, I'm not afraid to tell you the truth. Let me just get on your shoe tops and just tell you what the deal is. And he got so bold and so bad and so tough, he said, I'm going to put it in a book. I'm going to write it down for you, and I want to let you know. In studio with me is Mr. Corey P. Smith. He's written a book about debt called Conspiracy of Credit. Conspiracy of Credit. You want a credit card? I want a credit card. Everybody got a credit card. You know, if your FICO score is not 1,215, you're never going to get a job. You're never going to get in school. You're never going to get an apartment. And how are you going to get a 515,000 FICO score? It's never going to happen. On the cover of his book, it says debt. And they who control the credit of the nation hold in the hollow of their hand the destiny of the people. Welcome to the program, Corey. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so excited to have you here with us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited. I'm the energy that you bring just is unbelievable.
Oh, well, and I've calmed down very much. I'm not even on the happy pill today. I've calmed down a lot just so I could be here with you. So first, before we even get into this, because I got 11 questions to ask. I know the audience does. When we get into this, I want you to get involved in this conversation. 323-203-0815. 323-203-0815 is the number to call in live to talk to Corey P. Smith about this book that you're going to want to hold in your hot little hand, and not just hold, keep it. I done read the book like 3 times. I've been carrying it around in my pocketbook. You know, this has become my new go-to book. Before we get into that, tell us about Corey P. Smith and growing up in Memphis, Tennessee, one of my favorite cities in the world. So tell me about Corey, when Corey was a little boy.
When I was a little boy, life was hard and easy as far as I knew, meaning that I only knew one type of lifestyle growing up with my mother up until the age of 10 or 11 years old when I had the opportunity to go and live with my father, who was a captain in the Marines. He was stationed in San Diego. And
So that was about right. So you grew up in a single household, or for your father just in the military?
Yeah,
and gone all the time.
Nah, my mom and my dad were never together. My mom got pregnant with me at age 15, and we lived in the projects in North Memphis, and a few things, took place in my life, and I ended up moving with my father. But up until the point where I went to live with my dad, I grew up in, as we say, the ghetto, and it was a poor life, but it was a good life as far as I knew, because I had never been exposed.
Hadn't known anything else.
Yeah, I didn't know anything else.
And your mother at 15. I mean, I couldn't even imagine at 15 being responsible. Look, I was trying to remember how to figure out how to be a responsible parent at 24, let alone 15. And she didn't, because a lot of 15-year-olds really don't know what to do. But tell us about her and making sure that she did the best she could with you. Now, do you have other brothers and sisters?
Yes, I have a sister that was birthed by my mother, and then my dad, he got married, and I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters.
So it's a bunch of y'all.
That marriage, yes. But my mom, at the time, I thought that she was the worst mom in the world because of how hard that she was on me. But now that I reflect...
How so when you say how hard she was? I mean, she 15 years older than you. How much harder could she been on you?
You can't go outside until you do X, Y, Z. You can't watch TV until you do X, Y, Z.
Oh, she was from the old school.
Yeah.
She just happened to be 15 years on the planet, but she was like one of them old school mamas.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Or as my friend would say, you're gonna be finding somewhere else to stay if you don't do X, Y, Z.
Okay.
And I'm looking around as a kid trying to figure out, is she serious? So. But she was only doing the best that she knew how to do, and she wanted to bring the best out of me. And now that I look back
and
on
demanded the best.
Right, demanded the best and the most. She demanded excellence. To tell you the truth, nothing less than AIDS.
So now where did she get her wherewithal from, to get that old school spirit from, to be able to say at 15 years old, now you can act a fool if you want to. But see, I've been a fool longer than you have. That's what my mother used to tell her. Look, you can act a fool if you want to, but I've been a fool a lot longer than you, and I got this down to a fine science. And I would think, well, she must really be crazy.
Right.
So we're not going to test her.
Right.
We're just going to back up, because who knows what's going to come flinging around that corner.
Exactly.
A shoe, a hairbrush, a extension cord. You just don't know. And you came from an old school mother like I did.
Right.
She just happened to be in a 15-year-old body. So that crap about teenage mothers and they don't know what to do, go to Memphis.
Right. Yeah, my mom, she I think for her, she wanted me to be the best simply because so many people expected me to be the worst because of where we were at in our lives and how old she had me at 15. So she wanted to
She's
prove
not supposed
a lot
to
of
know
people
anything.
wrong. Exactly.
What you supposed to do? He just gonna be a thug. He gonna have a bunch of babies out there. That's all. You don't know what you talking about. Oh Lord, look at that Corey. He just gonna be a hot mess. Don't you just love it when... Look, I'm supposed to have 4 babies by 4 different men. I'm supposed to be the hoe of the project.
Right.
The project hoe. Even before Hood Rats came out, I would have been the senior member of the Hood Rat class, the whole 9. And on coming up in a few days, my husband and I will celebrate our 43rd anniversary together. So there, take that. And so are you Memphis Project people who said he wasn't going to do it and she wasn't going to do it? Bam, take that. Wind it back. Take it again. What's your mom's name?
Evelyn.
Is Evelyn still on the planet?
Oh, yeah.
Evelyn! This is a big applause from one mother love to another mother love. Yeah. Go, girl. So now so here you are growing up in Memphis. By the time of 10, 11, she says it's time for you to go to your dad.
Right. I ended up... moving
what was
with my
that
dad.
Transition like for you, coming from Memphis, being raised by a single mother, and now you're thrust into this situation with your father? Now, did you know your father? Did you have a relationship with him?
Yes, I knew my dad when he would come home to Memphis because he actually graduated high school at 16 and went to college in Minnesota on a football scholarship. And when he would come back and forth home, I would spend time with him at my grandmother's house. So when I transitioned to move with him, it was not a problem. I was actually excited until I actually moved with him, and at that point it became a cultural shock to me because I ended up coming from an all-black school in Memphis to going to an all-white school. I had never experienced that before. Like, in my head was the old cliche of, you know how some African-American kids, when they hear certain things, they become intimidated with moving into a different racial environment. I think that happened to me from being one of the smartest kids in the classroom
in Memphis,
to transitioning to John F. Kennedy Middle School in Florida, and you know, it was a different environment for me. And
did you feel like you were behind when you went down there? Academically?
Yeah, once I got into it, I felt like I was behind. And as my confidence dwindled away, it showed within my grades.
What made you, was it the fact that you had heard all these things about, you know, when you're going to an all-white school and they're going to expect you to be, you know, you're going to stand out so much. Oh my God, you're going to, and you're starting to absorb that in your psyche. Right. And you're going, okay, well, maybe they are right. Maybe this is too much for me.
I think it was just more so I was behind because, you know, sometimes you could feel like you're getting the best information or getting the best education from a particular person or a particular group of people, and because their education and their knowledge is limited, then it limits you. And I think that's what happened to me once I got to Florida. My knowledge was limited, and I was behind. It wasn't that I wasn't smart. I was so far behind.
You were being taught with limited materials,
right?
And now you get to see, dang, I was getting the best that they were offering in my black school, and now I'm seeing down here with these kids, they're getting a better education.
Yeah.
So you said your confidence dwindled. Obviously, someplace along the line, you got your confidence back up. When did that start coming up? And how far down did you go with your confidence?
Very far. Like I actually I failed. Like I failed in the 7th grade. Even when I got to the 10th grade, I ended up moving back to Memphis for maybe a year, and I lived with my grandmother. And I was a very violent person. I ended up getting kicked out of school there, and I went back to live with my dad.
Do you know why you had gotten violent?
A part of me felt neglected because during the time I was away from my mom, our relationship was not the same. And me moving with my dad, I felt like he has a family, and I wasn't a part of that family. Although he always tried to, you know, reassure me that hey,
you were welcome there and you're his son.
Right. And I had the, you know, feeling that like I always felt like the outside kid. I really did. So
now, were you the oldest among your siblings with him?
Right, I'm the
See,
oldest.
I don't know. It must have been something in me because I would have went in and took over. I was like, you do know that I am the top one. You do know I'm the number one. So the rest of y'all, you might be somebody else. But I would. Oh, see, I'd have came in like that.
I wasn't. Although I wasn't aggressive towards, you know, my family, although I could.
But you were aggressive toward everybody else.
Right.
So you're what they call passive aggressive. Right. Your anger from what was going on in your family, you took it out on other people. Okay.
Right.
See, I know about that. Trust me, been there, done that. I know. But I wasn't a fighter. My tool was my mouth.
Right.
And somebody was always chasing me, and I was screaming for my sister. I'm like, you know whose sister I am? She gonna kick your butt. She gonna kick your butt. It was like, tell her to shut up. You better make me. And I understand about that because I couldn't take it out on the people at home because you got to go home.
Right.
So everybody else, when you walk out the door, everybody else is going to pay. Now, were you physically violent with people? Were you verbally violent with people?
I was physical. I mean, my reason for
Oh, yeah, because you cut now. Let me tell you, he got a monster hug on. What's your wife's name?
Mimi.
Mimi. Look, he got a good hug on him, girl. He got one on him. You taught him well. He got a good one.
Yeah, I was physical to the point when I got kicked out of school in Memphis. It was simply because a guy was just looking at me, and I was like, what do you, just ask him what was he looking at.
You know what, can we just expound on that right now, because here in California we have, and across the country, we have so many young black guys that are so angry, and a lot of them they say they don't know why they're angry. You have been open and honest enough just in this short amount of time to say because you felt neglected, because you didn't feel the same relationship with your mother, you felt like the outside kid with your father, and you knew that this was your father, you knew that you belonged, but you didn't feel you belonged. They're making you feel like that, and there are a lot of young black guys that feel this way, and they're so angry, and they don't really know how to express themselves. What would you say to them, Corey? This is like the 15, 16-year-old Corey. You're talking to, your constituents here in California. We took you down to South Central. What would you say to these young men? What would you like to say to them about getting themselves on track and the fact that they don't have to feel this way or keep it bottled up?
Well, the first thing that I would say is, remain angry, but remain angry in a good way in terms of be angry to the point where it forces you to seek out as much information as possible to force access to people that you probably never felt like you could have access to, that have the tools and the means to make your life better. Not only that, have a hope inside to know that you're young and that life can be so explosive if you just stay the course.
Explosive in a positive way.
Explosive in a positive way, because that's basically how I had to reshape my energy. Like, I just got so angry to the point where it became, I'm gonna prove whoever wrong, whoever it is that want me to be the topic of failure in their eyes. I'm gonna prove them wrong, and I'm whatever it is that I want in life, I'm gonna take it, even if I have to steal the information from you. If I have to steal it through conversation or steal it through questions that you don't even know, I'm really asking you one question just so I can get an answer to something else that I really want to know. And it's about.
And see, it's really not stealing, Corey. It's not stealing. It's probing. It's extracting. I don't want people. He's not stealing information, people. He's extracting information, because people be like, he's stealing all the information. Well, y'all stole it from us. So let's just keep it real. You stole the information from us. We stealing it back, and you trying to hide it. Okay, shut up, mother. Go ahead. Okay.
Well,
see, you see what happened.
I use steal. The reason why I use that word, because I know it's certain individuals that, because of my skin color, ordinarily they wouldn't give me the information. It's been people.
Wait a minute. First of all, give you anything?
Give me anything.
I'm not going to give you eye water to cry with. Are you insane? I'm not going to give you anything. You know what they used to say, and I'm sure they still say it now. They say, if you want to keep knowledge from a black man, finish the sentence.
Put it in the book.
And see, when I first heard that, we were like, My mother used to say, they done told the wrong black people that. Oh, really? And let me ask you this. Was it the fact that you were so angry that you were going to take the information, any by hook, crook, by any means necessary, or were you really so hungry to feed who you were, that these people were not going to take anything off of your plate and tell you you can only eat this certain amount of knowledge, you can only have this certain amount, and you can only live this certain way?
Right. That's exactly where I was in. It goes back to what you just said, like, because, and I actually told this bank president this, because you hear this cliche so much, knowledge is powerful. And it hit me when I thought about that, and I was like, no, knowledge has its greatest power when it remains a secret. Because when everybody else starts to find out about it, now it has no more power.
None.
You know, so...
It's like a quote you have in the book, and we're going to get to that. When the sufferer starts to think, the thinker starts to suffer.
Right.
See, look, and I don't even have the book. I mean, I got the book in front of me, but I just want you to know I was all up in that. I was all up in that, and it's such a good read. Now for some people you might have to get a thesaurus and a dictionary, and this is good because knowledge is only powerful when you don't share it, because then it becomes commonplace. And that was a really, really powerful statement to me. I know they probably he done just lost what's left of his mind. He is Negro who must be stopped. No, you are black man who must be heard. In studio with me is a powerful author. He's written this book called Conspiracy of Credit. I can't say this enough. Debt and they who control the credit of the nation hold in the hollow of their hands the destiny of the people. Now, either you want them to hold in the hollow of their hands your destiny, and you just want to be one of the followers of the flock and be the sheep, or you want to get in on the game. Corey P. Smith is in studio. When we come back, I got 11 more questions to ask, and we will be, we talked about this because I want you to explain to people why you say education is so overrated. Have I got something for that? Oh my God. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about so much. He's here with us for the afternoon. So if you want to get in on this conversation, call us at 323-203-0815, 323-203-0815. I'm letting you in. We'll be back after these messages.
You are listening to the Mother Love Show on LATalkRadio.com.
Lifestyles. I'm Bobby Owens. Type 2 diabetes is more likely to affect minority populations, including African Americans and Latinos. Mother Love, TV personality and author, has type 2 diabetes and knows firsthand how to deal with it.
To manage diabetes successfully, you must keep a positive attitude and build a strong support team. Make sure you monitor your blood glucose levels often, exercise daily, eat well, and stay informed.
Mother Love says a healthy and balanced diet is very important.
You don't have to skip out on the barbecues, but you do need to watch what you eat. Choose healthy and fresh foods like seasonal fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, and always practice portion control. For snacks, try Glucerna nutrition products. The great-tasting shakes, snack bars, and cereals are formulated to minimize blood sugar spikes when used as a part of a diabetes management plan.
Use Glucerna products under medical supervision. For more information, visit Glucerna.com. That's Lifestyles from the makers of Glucerna. I'm Bobby Owens.
Are you ready to be that person? The person who walks into the room and everyone pauses and says, "Where did that outfit come from?" Well, the only way to be that person is that you're wearing skin tone clothing. Skin tone clothing is 100% natural, hand-woven, raw cotton. And skin tone clothing lays on your skin like no other material. It offers elegance, comfort, and style. So if you're ready to be that person, then shop www.skintone-clothing.com. That's www.skintone-clothing.com. www.skintone-clothing.com. And at your next party, be that person. Skin Tone Clothing, for the skin you're in.
You are now listening to LA Talk Radio, where we can just say what we want. You are now listening to LA Talk Radio, where we can just say what we want.
And we say, that would be Mr. Corey P. Smith and I, Mother Love. We say you need to understand about the conspiracy of credit, how the credit bureaus work, why education, especially formal education, can be so overrated for some people. We've got so many questions to ask Mr. Corey Smith, and right now we're getting some background on who he is and what got him to this place. He is originally from Memphis, Tennessee. He attended Cleveland State Community College on a basketball scholarship, graduated from Tennessee State University. Several of my good girlfriends went to Tennessee State. With a bachelor's degree in sociology. You are a former Navy veteran. Thank you for your service. Thank you. I appreciate that. A former high school history teacher and corrections officers. After facing and conquering his own personal struggles with credit, he embarked on a journey that would change people's lives for the better. And he also says, credit is for poor people. We're going to talk about that. So back to your backstory with, the culture shock of moving from Memphis, Tennessee, living with your mother, going to an all-black school, transitioning to Florida, and were you the only black person or one of a few black people?
One of a few.
So, but they could point you out. Oh, that's Corey Smith over there.
Yeah.
That's Corey Smith over there. They could point you out. And you said you lost a lot of your self-esteem. Now, before you left to go and live with your father in Florida, were you a pretty active person academically and in your school and in your neighborhood, even growing up in the projects?
Yeah, I was the top, in the elementary school that I went to. I was the top student, and my mom actually ended up getting a job once I got into maybe the third or fourth grade. Fourth grade, she actually ended up getting a job at the school as a teaching assistant. And even before that, she was at the school pretty much every day. My mom.
And you were cool with that?
I wasn't.
Okay. Because you're like really calm. I remember when my mother came up and she became a teacher at my junior high school. I was like, you just did this to ruin my life. And she goes, that's my job, to ruin your life as a teenager.
Right.
Like, okay.
Nah, my mom walked me and my sister to school every day, walked us home every day. So, a part of me felt like a kid, although I was a kid, because I had other classmates that were, they could walk home.
By themselves. And I'm like, you felt like the baby kid.
Right.
Golly, my mom's got to walk me to school and walk me home. I'm a big boy. I can walk by myself. Oh, my God, you're making my life miserable. Can't you just go? Can you walk 50 feet ahead of me or 50 feet behind? No, you're not running anything.
Right.
So now you go down to Florida, and you talked about you felt that you were behind academically because you felt like in Memphis you were getting the best of education, and you go to Florida and find out you're not.
Right.
And to the point you even failed a grade.
Right.
You went on to finish, though. You did not let anything deter you. What was the fire in your belly that say, okay, yeah, I failed the 7th grade, but I'm getting ready to graduate?
In the beginning, my dad. Because, my dad started to take the approach, like, he would do homework with me and would be like, okay, you get this wrong again, and I'm going to whoop you.
I don't know why people think that works.
Yeah, and it didn't work.
It didn't.
It just made me, I couldn't think, because all I could think about was,
if I get this wrong, I'm going to get tapped on.
Yeah, and my dad was a big guy. My dad was like 6'3", 230 pounds.
Anything pounds. And you said he was in the military. Yeah, that's going to hurt.
Yeah.
The wind coming past going to knock you down.
Yeah, so... But she tried to motivate me in their way, but as life went on, it was rocky, even from the 7th grade all the way up to finishing high school and even beyond that, because to be honest, I actually went to jail after high school, believe it or not. And
Now, what did you go to jail for with them delicate features you got?
you know what? I was working a part-time job at the Greyhound bus station, and I hated it even then. I hated working a job, and I left the job that day, and I remember telling the guy who was working with me, I said, I'm going to jail today. And joking, like, but I actually did go to jail. I went into a Radio Shack, and I wanted some stereo equipment so bad, didn't have the money to afford it. So I actually had the guy pick out everything I needed. And when he picked it out and brought it to the counter, I punched him, grabbed the stuff off the counter, and took off running. And then one of the other guys in the store chased me, and I ended up dumping the stuff in this dumpster and tried to walk back, thinking I was gonna walk back to my car that was parked on that parking lot. By then, the police was there. And when I went to get in the car, the guy was like, there he is. And I still hopped in the car, and next thing you know, I'm on a police chase with yeah, so long story short, I ended up, getting arrested for that. I went and to court. I had like 4 felonies. That may have been like
assault for one thing, robbing, fleeing the scene of a crime,
fleeing
the police.
Yeah.
You had a button that was like, oh, ching ching, he getting ready to go to jail.
Yeah, but what happened, I went to court, and this was like August, and they was like, you come back to court in January. And when I went to court, they was like, all of your charges have been dropped to lesser charges, and I ended up with 2 misdemeanors. So when I came back to court in January, they sentenced me to like a year in the county, which I didn't do the year. I may have did like 8 or 9 months.
Still, that's 8 or 9 months out your life, Corey.
Yeah, I know. And
time to sit down and be still and figure out, what have I done and what am I going to do?
But and that was probably, when my dad came to court, that was probably the first time in my life that I ever seen this man who I thought had no emotions. Like, I could see the tears in his eyes, because I guess that was like one of the most disappointing moments to him.
And what did that do for you?
That crushed me, because I never forget the judge says, do you have a relative or anybody in the courtroom? And I was like, my dad. And
he was probably shocked about that.
Yeah, and he was like, well, give him your belt, because you're going to jail. You're going to jail today. And, I took my belt off and handed it to my dad, and they took me on back. And
why did they take your belt? Oh, okay, now, because it could be a weapon.
Right, whatever the reasons, I don't know. And I did my time, and when I got out.
Did you learn anything in those 8 or 9 months that you were there about the making of Corey Smith and how to transition him from, because if you'll rob somebody one time, what will stop you from robbing somebody another time, or it escalating to something else? Did you stop while you were there to think about the kind of man you were going to be once you came out?
Yeah, I mean, that was a turning point in my life, because I had to put a lot of energy into doing all those negative things. And I said, I can put just as much energy into doing some positive things to improve my life. And when I got out, I went back to see my high school basketball coach, and he was the one that got me a tryout with Cleveland State Community College, and I went up.
Is that in Memphis?
No, that's in
Cleveland, Ohio?
No, it's in Cleveland, Tennessee.
Oh, there's a Cleveland, Tennessee.
Yes, like
who knew? I kind of knew that. I was teasing. Cleveland, Tennessee.
Yeah. So I went up, and the coach liked what he saw, and they gave me a 2-year scholarship, and I went there, and I didn't look back from that point, and I went on to end up transferring to University of Memphis afterwards for maybe a year, and finished on up at Tennessee State.
So tell me, what made you decide to get your degree in sociology, which is so far from basketball, so far from sports? You know, I mean, you're talking about the sociopathology of human nature and what is making people. That sounded like I knew what I was talking about. Shut up, mother love. God, what's your best?
Honestly, it wasn't at the time. I just said, well, with a degree in sociology, I could do something maybe in law enforcement or, you know, be a social worker. Thinking of, it was like the degree wasn't difficult to get. And now even I look back on it now, that shaped me for like, cause I study and I watch people and you know, so I'm actually putting the degree to work, but in a different aspect. So it wasn't like a thought that I had to say, well, I want to be a doctor and that's all I ever wanted to be. It just happened to end up that way. And
did you want to do a lot? Because it seems to me, you know, just looking at your bio, you wanted to do a lot of different things. I mean, it takes a lot to be a history teacher. You just don't decide, I just want to walk into a classroom one day and teach history. This is something that has to be thought out. Even though you said it was not that difficult to get a degree in sociology, it still takes work to get a degree of any sort. So there's something in you that says, let me try this. And it seems like that you're, would you consider yourself an type A personality? That you always want to do, you always want to achieve whatever it is that you're doing, that you get focused on it and you want to take it as far as you can take it, and then you have the attitude, been there, done that, let's try something else. Okay, moving on. Did that whole sociology thing. Okay, moving on. I'll be a history teacher. Okay, moving on.
You know what? I can't even say that. I think for my life, for the person that I am today, I feel like everything I would not, and I don't want to sound cliche, I would not trade anything that I went through in my life because it shaped me. It was almost like God specifically wrote this book.
Okay, can I tell you, almost only counting horseshoes and hand grenades. And God does not almost do anything.
Exactly.
I just gotta check. I just gotta catch him, Lord. You know, sometimes they get the verbiage a little confused. It's not like God almost did anything. He absolutely laid his hands all over you and kept you guided and directed. Even when you got stuck on stupid, paused on ignorant, parked on dumb, he was like, all right, son, now if I got to sit your behind down since you don't know crap from apple butter and you just want to go in here in a Radio Shack and steal stuff. Now, you know you got a brain better than that. What is wrong with you? Okay, so now we have to sit you down. I mean, now did you plea bargain these 4 felonies down, or was it when you went back to court, they looked at your record and they said, well, this doesn't warrant all of this?
Yeah, I didn't do anything. Like, I was shocked when I went.
You probably was like, really?
Yeah, I was shocked. I didn't know whether my dad had did something or I didn't know what it was, but you know.
See, that's the intervention hand of the Almighty, getting into people's spirit and looking at it, because you know so often they will look at that and here's a black man, you know, he a black man, you know, this a black man. And I tell you, I love my BMWs. I tell you, know what a BMW is, right?
Nah.
Black man working. Like my BMWs. And you know, they in all seriousness, because you guys get so racially profiled so often, it could have very easily went the other way. But when the hand of God is on you, in your spirit, and you saw something, a glimmer of hope that you had a purpose in life, sometimes, you know, we got to get snatched on as Forrest Gump would say, sometimes you just have to get snatched on the buttocks and get sat down so that you can be still and know what it is that you are supposed to know. In studio with me is Corey P. Smith. He has written a book called The Conspiracy of of Credit. It says on the cover, oh, you should see this cover. It's so awesome. Who came up with this idea for the cover before we take a break? Let me just give you a description for those of you who might not know. It's a pair of hands. They look like man hands. He's got a lovely manicure. And he's got silver chains around it with a big lock on it with debt in big black capital letters. And across all the fingers except for the right hand baby finger that you can't see, it's written, and they who control the credit of the nation hold in the hollow of their hands the destiny of the people. Conspiracy of Credit. Who came up with this cover?
I did. I actually drew it out on a piece of paper one day when me and my wife were driving to her grandmother's house. I was just trying to think of an idea, and I drew it out. I drew the back of it out, and I said I'm going to take it to a graphic designer and have them put it together.
Did it come out like you wanted it to come? It's so powerful. Yeah. It is. This was when I was like, whoa, okay. Now, do you know whose hands those are?
I have no idea.
You know whose hands those are? The human hands of debt. That's whose hands they are. They are the human hands of debt. Corey P. Smith is in studio with us. When we come back, we're going to continue this conversation. He's here with us all afternoon. You want to get in on this, 323-203-0815. We'll be back.
The Nefertiti of the needy, the defender of the tender, worldwide appeal with a hometown Phyllis mother love. You in good hands, you in good hands, you in good hands. You are listening to the Mother Love Show on LATalkRadio.com.
Lifestyles. I'm Bobby Owens. Type 2 diabetes is more likely to affect minority populations, including African Americans and Latinos. Mother Love, TV personality and author, has type 2 diabetes and knows firsthand how to deal with it.
To manage diabetes successfully, you must keep a positive attitude and build a strong support team. Make sure you monitor your blood glucose levels often, exercise daily, eat well, and stay informed.
Mother Love says a healthy and balanced diet is very important.
You don't have to skip out on the barbecues, but you do need to watch what you eat. Choose healthy and fresh foods like seasonal fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, and always practice portion control. For snacks, try Glucerna nutrition products. The great-tasting shakes, snack bars, and cereals are formulated to minimize blood sugar spikes when used as a part of a diabetes management plan.
Use Glucerna products under medical supervision. For more information, visit Glucerna.com. That's Lifestyles from the makers of Glucerna. I'm Bobby Owens.
Are you ready to be that person? The person who walks into the room and everyone pauses and says, "Where did that outfit come from?" Well, the only way to be that person is that you're wearing skin tone clothing. Skin tone clothing is 100% natural, hand-woven, raw cotton. And skin tone clothing lays on your skin like no other material. It offers elegance, comfort, and style. So if you're ready to be that person, then shop www.skintone-clothing.com. That's www.skintone-clothing.com. And at your next party, be that person. Skin Tone Clothing, for the skin you're in.
You are now listening to LA Talk Radio, where we can just say what we want. You are now listening to LA Talk Radio, where we can just say what we want.
And we say, you need to know who you are and whose you are, and understand that sometimes when you get slapped on your butt and you get still, God is trying to tell you something. In studio with me is Mr. Corey P. Smith. He's written a book called Conspiracy of Credit. Now, this isn't your first book. Tell us about your first book.
The first book that I wrote was a book entitled how to outsmart the credit bureaus.
Oh, you know. Okay, quit with the sinister chuckle, mother. I bet they don't like you.
Nah, they didn't like it because that was me redirecting my anger. Mm-hmm. And when I put that book out, that's when the federal government showed up.
Okay, now can we talk about that, because we're going to go into the second hour of this program with this. Now here you are, you are just working to get information and researching information for yourself and for other people. You're not trying to do anything else other than to garner information.
Right.
And next thing you know, it's the Secret Service, the FBI. Are you Corey P. Smith? We've got a picture of you. They want to make sure we've got
all
the right Negro, because, of course, all you Negroes look alike, but we got the right Negro. And you went down there, yes. Tell the story about them coming to your house the first time.
They actually didn't know exactly who I was.
That's why they got the picture.
Because I was actually, I have a little small yellow book that I was getting printed up at Kinko's. Mm-hmm. And I was selling it like on the street before I put the actual book out, and then made it into the bookstores. And
this is the one, How to Outsmart
the Credit Bureaus. Mm-hmm. And what happened was they ended up subpoenaing. They subpoenaed me and my wife before a federal grand jury. And that's when I went and got...
Wait, now, subpoenas don't just... Well, they can appear out the sky. But you're like just, peddling your book on the street, and they've got a grand jury subpoena. That means...
Well, it had got bigger than that.
They had been watching you for a while then.
Right. It got bigger because my knowledge of credit just sharpened with, like, each moment, with each day, with each month.
Okay, wait. Let me back you up there. Before you tell that story, tell people how you channeled your anger toward getting involved in this book of How to Outsmart the Credit Bureaus. Tell us what led you up to even getting involved in something like this with the credit card companies, with the credit bureaus, with the FICO scores.
My family. I was working at the high school, East High School, in Memphis, and
this is when you were a history teacher,
right? Mm-hmm. And me and my wife had an apartment in Memphis. We had my oldest daughter, and I was actually living from paycheck to, it wasn't even paycheck to paycheck, because my account would be overdrawn a lot.
By the time the next paycheck comes, so you're already in a deficit,
right? And it just happened one night. Me and my wife were actually in the apartment. Our lights had gotten turned off, and we were sleeping on the floor. And I woke up like 2:00 in the morning, and I woke her up, and I was like, baby, we gotta let this apartment go. And I was like, the only way that I'm gonna be able to fix our situation, I gotta fix our name. I gotta fix our credit. Mm-hmm. And I was like, just give me 24 months. And I promise you, I'll give you the world. And she thought I was crazy. She was like, 2 years?
Mimi is like, look, we laying on the floor, dude. Right. We got our baby. What is he, crazy?
Right, so
But the fact that you woke up out of a deep sleep, it came to you like that, clearly like that.
Like that.
And you said, just give me 24 months. I know she wanted to just roll the baby up.
She got opinions from friends and that.
Oh, so you can't listen. No, sweetie, Mimi don't listen to the friends. Well, obviously she didn't listen to the friends and the family because you all are still together.
Right.
Because the first thing your girlfriend's going, girl, you need to leave him. Why he gonna give you 2 years? What you gonna be doing for 2 years? You gonna be taking care of all the bills. You gonna be robbing Peter PayPal so he can be off at his little pipe dreams. Sorry, I had a flashback. I had a flashback. Now, am I lying?
Yeah, you're right. You're not lying. She got the opinions like a real man to do X, Y, Z. But I had a plan. I had a vision. I just said, let's move in with your grandmother, or we can move in with my mom. And we ended up moving in with her grandmother. And sure enough, in less than 2 years, we bought our first home. Like 4,200 square foot home.
Now that's a pondo.
Yeah. During that time, I started to use my credit to borrow money from the banks to do unsecured lines of credit. I got into learning about shelf corporations, buying these seasoned corporations that had already been established for 2 or more years. And I did what I call joint venture agreements with people who didn't know the power of their credit. And I would couple them with the shelf corp, like make them an officer of the shelf corporation.
And all of this is legal.
Yeah, it's legal. It's legal.
And you think that's what ticked him off, that you found out that this was legal, other people were doing it, and now that you were doing it and becoming successful at it?
Right, because it was some weeks I was pulling down $100,000 in just lines of credit. And when they came with the subpoena, they told my attorney, well, he's done like $2.4 million in fraudulent loans. Yeah.
Wait a minute, how were they fraudulent?
They weren't fraudulent.
They were trying to figure, now how in the world how did he figure out how to make this happen to the tune of $2+ million?
Right.
And you know how they do it.
Right.
And you know who you are. We know who they are. We know who soon we find out who they is, we found out who they are.
Right, right. And so I remember, and at the time, my wife was like 5 months pregnant with my second daughter.
Wait a minute, when they came in with the federal subpoena?
Yeah, like I was like just hauling my wife in, you know, fingerprinting her, taking a picture, making her they made us do like 10-page writing samples. Like
for what?
I'll never figure that out.
They just want to, and common sense would tell you, anybody who knows anything about handwriting, you could write your signature 5,000 times and you're going to get 5,000 different variations of your signature.
Right.
Nobody signs their name exactly the same.
Right.
Nobody. So that gets they act like we supposed to be so stupid.
Right.
We supposed to be so stupid. Why you just was not cooperating with the feds.
Because I remember when I was writing, I remember one of the agents, he walked in and he yelled at me, "That's not your handwriting. Write like you." And I just looked up at him.
Like, whose hand is this? I got an extra hand over here, right here, just come out on the side, and this is my fake.
Yeah, so I just looked.
See, I would have been in jail because I'd have bust out laughing.
So, you know, we went through that, and I remember.
And here she is, 5 months pregnant plus. What did she ever tell you? You know, Corey, this is just too much.
Yeah, she did. She did, and you know, but I figured a lot. I found a lot out about my wife because there was another situation after this where they actually arrested me and my wife in front of, and this wasn't even the FBI. This was the sheriff department. And then they brought the feds in behind there. They wouldn't give me a bond. They arrested my wife. And they came with mortgage fraud. And I had a lot of cars at the time. They told all my cars. Now, keep in mind, after they did all of this, and they eventually gave me a bond for like $65,000. They gave my wife a bond for maybe like $15,000. I paid the money. We got out. We went to court. They threw it out, and nothing, like nothing.
Okay, like not even our bad. You just well, we're just throwing it out. So did you and your wife look at this like, you know, just really federal harassment because you were successful at what you were doing?
I did. I mean, I looked at it like, you know, they always talk about a system existing, or people don't believe, like the title of my book, Conspiracy of Credit, people truly don't believe certain things are not real. Like some things I don't want to touch on, like voting. You know, there's a lot of things that go on that people don't realize.
We know about gerrymandering and moving the lines and voter fraud and voter registration and telling senior citizens and students, oh, you can't vote, or we need to have some identification on you.
Right.
Oh, yeah, right, because we done had a black 2-term president who beat out 2 white men that a bunch of rich billionaires said they were going to buy the presidency, and it didn't happen, and these white Republicans just cannot get this crawl out the crack of their behind, and we suppose, oh well, let's have a moment. Moment's over.
Yeah. And
See, you say you can't touch it. I'm gonna touch all over it. I'm gonna have my fingerprints all over it, because the one thing that I know, when you're telling the truth, I don't have to look over my shoulder.
Right.
You're going to be coming up over me just like you didn't have to look over your shoulder. They could say whatever they want. They could do whatever they want. But at the end of the day, the truth will prevail. And no matter how long it takes, the truth will prevail. It's like they gave you bond. You paid the bond. It was like, God almighty, this.
Yeah.
You said a few minutes ago that you learned a lot about your wife that you did not know. Now, how long have the two of you been together?
19 years.
Okay.
We've been married. November the 6th, it'll be 11 years of marriage and 19 years of just being together. I met her when she was a freshman at the University of Memphis, and she been riding it out with me ever since.
Oh, so she like me. She a ride or die kind of chick.
She is, and I say I learned a lot about her because one of the officers, he started to talk about me and call me a piece of you know what, and my wife went off, just went off on him.
Well, she don't know.
Right.
You don't know my husband.
Right. Worse.
You talking to the with the wrong chick in the room. See, she sound like the kind of chick that if you saw her and a bear in a fight, you get a bear stick. Because she getting ready to open up a can and whoop the bear, you know what, buttocks.
Right.
Buttocks. Corey, I am so glad that you're going to continue this conversation with us. We're going to take a break and transition to our next hour. I always say this to my guests. It is such a delight to have you on. Thank you for your book. We're going to continue to talk about it. The Conspiracy of Credit by Corey B. Smith. May the universe still in this hour continue to open up and conspire for your great success. And we will be back with more of Corey P. Smith. irreverent, entertaining, cool. You're listening to LA Talk Radio.
The moment has arrived. LA Talk Radio, now listen live. The queen is here. Pose for the cameras. Tune in. Time is now for the even more fabulous. Fabulous, fabulous. You are now listening to the Mother Love Show. You are now listening to the Mother Love Show. You are now listening to the Mother Love Show. Love Show, Love Show, Love Show, Love Show.
Hello, my cyber babies. Welcome to another fantastic day in Talk Radio. I am your host, Mother Love. I come to you live and in living color, Monday through Friday from 2 o'clock until 3:50 Pacific Standard Time. And if for whatever reason you are unable to listen to us live, oh, babies, don't you worry your pretty face. Don't you worry that handsome head. I've got your back. All you have to do is go to latalkradio.com, click on the Mother Love Show on Channel 1, and voila, there we are. For your aspiration, your inspiration, and for your motivation. Oh, babies, because you got to be aspired to step into your purpose. You must be inspired to know you. Yes, you, and you, and you, and you have a purpose. It's your responsibility to step into that purpose. And we want you to be motivated to knock that bushel off of your light and shine. Oh, baby, shine like the star you are. Shine so bright they need sunglasses at night to step into your light. Remember to like Mother Love on Facebook, follow me on Twitter at Mother Love Show, and remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You never know who's going to be on my YouTube channel, like this awesome ball of knowledge who he done just ticked off the feds, the sheriff department, and the media all down in Memphis, Tennessee, and we love him to pieces. He is author, an entrepreneur, sociology master. He's a history teacher. He's a husband, and he's a daddy. He got 3 daughters. Ooh, him got 3 daughters, and we love him to pieces. His name is Corey P. Smith, and he's written a book called Conspiracy of Credit, Debt, and They Who Control the Credit of the Nation Hold in the Hollow of Their Hands the Destiny of the People. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome from Memphis. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, wait, okay. Absolutely. I had to turn your microphone on. Duh. One day I'm going to learn how to do this actual radio program thing. So now let's talk about this awesome book. Your first book was called How to Outsmart the Credit Bureaus.
Right.
Can we talk about that briefly and some of the bullet points and the nuggets that are in How to Outsmart the Credit Bureau? And we're talking about Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, Nexus, Lexus. Now they got a new one, Jim Bob and Sally Sue. I don't know who it is. I saw it on my credit report, and I was like, who are these people? First, I had to deal with TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax, who never have the same information.
Right.
None of them. What made you first sit down and, you said that you were laying on the floor in your apartment, the lights had went out, you woke up and you said, I'm going to figure out how to fix my credit. And inside of 2 years, you had bought your first house, 4,200 square foot house. So how did you outsmart the credit bureaus?
Information. Mm-hmm. I made it my job. Every day I was on the phone with a different credit bureau. With the courts, I would go down to the courthouse in Memphis. I would call different collection agencies. I would read as much as I could, and I tried a lot of stuff. I just said I'm gonna try certain things just to see if it works. And with each lesson, we're trying to figure out how to take a bankruptcy off or how to.
Wait, you could take a bankruptcy off?
Yes, you could take a bankruptcy off.
But they say stay on your credit for like 10 years. Nah. What roll? Well, how long does it have to stay on before you can start taking it off? And is that across the board with the credit bureaus, or is that just something that happens in the great state of Tennessee?
No, that's across the board. And to explain, first of all, let me say this because the first book, How to Outsmart the Credit Bureaus, I pulled it a few years ago and made it unavailable. And since I put this book out, there's been so many people to request the first book. I'm getting purchase orders from Baker and Taylor distribution, and I had to revise the first book because a lot has changed since I first put it out. Even with what I was doing with the banks, with the Shell Corps, a lot of things have changed with the banks.
Is it because of you, Mr. Smith, that they were like, oh, he trying to be funny. Now we got to go back and revise this.
It's not just because of me, because there are other people out there that have the information I have. They have bits and pieces of the information that I have. So,
but I'm going to tell you something. It's not as extensive. I mean, I got one of those books by one of those guys. We're not going to mention his name, who was telling us about Gary Trudeau. And he got this really big, thick book that he was charging a good, like $40 for it, $29 or $39 for it. And I'm reading the book, and I'm reading the book, and I'm reading the book, and I read it from cover to cover. I'm an avid reader, and I maybe got like 2 nuggets out of that book that I could use. I mean, I got about 11 things out of it. I told you it's in my pocketbook. You see how bent up it is? That are very useful to me. And I'm not that savvy. So how does one who is really not that savvy get into a position to work to outsmart and what did you have to change to modify from the first time you released the book, How to Outsmart the Credit Bureaus, to what you had to revise it to? What's changed?
The first book was raw, like so raw to the point, I'm not going to lie, I was telling people how to take things off of their credit legally and doing some things that may deem to be
a little shady,
like,
but just this shy illegal.
Right. I mean, I put a disclosure in the book, but let's say, for instance, like, in the book, I would just talk about something and as simple as going to change your name. If you go and change your name and you use a different zip code, same social security number that you have, but you use a zip code or an address that you've never used before, the credit bureaus will automatically generate a new credit file for you, automatically. That's why when you go and get your name changed, sometimes the judge will ask you, are you running from creditors? Because and
that's the same thing as if you add a name. I remember when I got married, I kept my maiden name, but I added my husband's name to it, so I have a hyphenated last name. And then I got, with my same social security number, it comes up under 2 or 3 different kind of variations of my name. So now I got like 18 different variations of my name under the same system. I'm like, look, I'm one person. This is the one person I am. This is my maiden name. This is my married name. These are the only 2 names I got. And they got a variation of them. How is that how they get them?
I understand what you're saying, but this is different from a standpoint. It has no connection with your previous name, your married name. It's just a completely new credit file.
So you're saying I could just go in and modify my name or just actually change my name?
Yeah, you got to legally change your name.
Oh, you have to legally go
to.
Oh no,
and
man.
A lot of people won't take it to the extreme. And then
now,
some
does it
people
cost
will.
a lot to legally change your name?
It doesn't cost nothing at all, really.
Where do you go to legally change your name?
The courthouse.
Really?
Yeah, and then you go before a judge. It's almost like if you become Muslim, you go down and change your name to Mother Love Shabazz. And the judge asks you a few questions, and bam, your name is legally changed. In the book, I was just talking about how to manipulate the computer system that the credit bureaus have and create a new credit file. I also talked about using the technique of just using the tax ID number at the time to create a new credit file.
But to get a tax ID number, don't you have to have a business?
Yeah, you do.
So you can start a business.
You can, but I was talking about something different. And they didn't like this. It's sort of like what a lot of people are doing now with these numbers, these what they call CPN numbers, these secondary privacy numbers, and creating new credit files. And the federal government is calling that synthetic identity theft. And
synthetic identity theft. It's not bad enough to have real identity theft. Now we have synthetic identity theft.
Right. And a lot of people are starting their credit over with these CPN numbers. But
are the CPN numbers legally to obtain? Are they legally obtained?
They're not legal. You know, a lot of people will tell you it's illegal, but I had the Secret Service approach me, and I had, I had a few different files, and the one thing that they were trying to figure out with me was that we don't know if you've stolen some 5-year-old kid's identity. And a lot of time when people are buying these CPN numbers, these numbers could be recycled numbers from a 5-year-old kid or a person who's been incarcerated.
Or somebody who died.
Or somebody who died, or an older person who would never use their Social Security number again. Or it can be just a number that they generated that has not even been issued by the Social Security Administration.
Okay, now you would think with all of the computer, with everything that's so fast-tracked on the computers, they would have some sort of a system, some sort of a created algorithm that can filter through these. And I remember reading in your book, you said the credit bureaus actually have a whole department for mixed numbers where these files can get crossed and they really don't know who they really belong to.
Right.
So their system is flawed.
Yes. Their system is... It's so flawed, but it's only it only hurts poor people, because people who are rich
don't need credit.
They don't need credit
because you can walk in and buy whatever you want.
Right.
And especially if you got American Express, you got that black American Express card. You just go and you buy what you want. You pay for whatever at the end of the month.
Right. So it hurts poor people the most, and
it seems like that's who the credit card companies prey on with the interest rate. The worse your credit numbers are. And we can, because FICO, to this day, and I'm college educated, and I couldn't explain. If somebody said, okay, mother-in-law, we want you to explain in your words the FICO system, and I would go, because every time every year I get a free credit report, and I get one for myself and one for my business, and I keep up with it to see where it is and what have you. But after reading this book, you have turned the sister around. Let me tell you, it's going to be a whole different story. But I would send, and I would get the credit report from TransUnion, from Equifax, from what's the other one? TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian.
Right.
And they would say, we're only going to look at your credit report from Experian. Okay, so say my credit score is like 765. The highest you can go is 850. But then they can modify that if they wanted to, because it's all just a numbers game.
Right.
Then it could go from 760 on one to 100 points less on another one, to 150 points less on, and it's the same, but it's not the same credit report. And then there was a time I had my identity stolen. And it doesn't seem to me that they really have effective safeguards in these credit systems to help me, the consumer, with somebody stealing my identity.
Right.
It's almost like, well, they got it, so you just have to work around it, and that's just on you, it just really ain't gonna help you, so the lady used your Social Security number. She live in a trailer park down in Oklahoma. What's the big deal? Just pay the debt. And I'm like, it's not my debt.
Right.
How do we, is there a way for us to circumvent it? Because just so you know, I'm the broke star. I got the same issues that everybody else does. That's why this was important, not just for me, but I know that this would be important for so many hundreds of thousands, millions of people to get this information. Is there a way that this can really truly be repaired? Because you hear all these I call them shell companies coming up. Oh, we can repair your credit. We can do this. We can do that. And, just pay $39.99 and we'll protect your credit report. I was kind of outdone by LifeLock. All these commercials about LifeLock, and, you pay for this and you get LifeLock. Then the LifeLock guy got his credit compromised like 10, 12, 13 times.
Yeah.
So I'm supposed to believe him? You can't even keep your own credit safe, and you want me to pay you to shut up, mother love. Okay, go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, I always tell people, one, all the credit monitoring, it's a scam. It's a product that was created, and the reason it was created, and people have to remember this, the credit bureaus are in the business of making money. And in the beginning, they actually lobby to stop identity theft protection products, to stop people from being able to freeze their credit file. And the reason why is because it caused them to lose money. Each time that your credit file is pulled, the credit bureaus make money. So what happens if...
Wait a minute, every time?
Every time.
So we got 350 million people in America.
They make money.
Okay, so we'll say 200 million of those people are have their files in the credit system.
Right.
So every time, even if it's a dollar, that's $200 million they making every time somebody's credit.
Yeah.
We in the wrong business.
They make money. So when the issue of people being able to freeze their credit came about, they were against that simply because once your credit is frozen, if you call into the credit bureaus and say, freeze my credit, that means no one has access to your credit unless you call in and unblock your credit for a certain period of time to apply for a credit card that you might want.
So you're saying that me, the consumer, I have the power to pick up the phone and call the credit bureaus myself and say, freeze my credit.
Right.
And this will stop all of these unsolicited credit card invitations from coming to me?
Eventually, for the ones that try to access your credit after you've frozen it, it'll filter out. But yeah, you can stop it.
And is there a time limit on how long you can keep your credit frozen?
Nah, there's not a time.
So they didn't like that idea because they couldn't make any money.
Right. So and that's when they said it's almost like, hey, then we need to flip the game. So let's go ahead and put this identity theft product out where we can protect the consumer's credit and make money, and their credit files are still open to be pulled
at any given time by any given merchant.
Right. I mean, if you had 100 million people paying $14.99 a month for you to monitor
you getting
paid. When all they have to do is create a letter and send it in to the credit bureau, a consumer statement stating that, hey, do not extend credit to anyone unless you call such and such number listed on my credit file. So there are a number of different ways that you can protect your credit without paying somebody a monthly fee, because it's just a product.
Okay, so these are some questions I want to ask you about that are in the book. One of the things we talked about earlier was that, and we find this is just horrific, that you said higher education is so overrated.
Right.
And one of the things you say is that student loans are a scam. And we got students, collectively in $1 trillion worth of student loan debt. Talk about that for a moment with us, and why you say student loans are a scam.
Yeah, I mean, it's a scam because for the people, who have to take out student loans, or they are forced to take out student loans because they have been sold this dream of going to college and getting a degree in hopes of being able to obtain a great paying job to live out the American dream. It becomes a nightmare after they graduate and they look up and now you're $30,000 or $100,000 in debt because of student loans. And you get out and you get a job that's only paying you $30,000 or $40,000 a month, but your student loan payments are $600, $400.
You mean $30,000 a year?
Right.
Right. And
$30,000 a year. I'm sorry.
I'm like, I could do $30,000 a month.
Not $30,000 a month, but $30,000 a year. You're starting your life out at the finish line,
in a huge deficit. In a huge financial deficit. And it's like you never get out of debt. And I know people who are in my family who have PhDs. They've gone on to get their higher education. One of them is $250,000 in debt. Wow. Another one is $180,000 in debt. The one who's $180,000 in debt, he just got a job as a professor. Now, he's not a tenured professor. He's been there about maybe 5 years, so he's not tenured. He is still paying off his student loans. He was like, I'm going to have to keep this job. I will have to keep this job. So he doesn't have, his choices have been so limited because he's locked into this debt. The one that's got the $250,000 in debt with the PhD cannot find a decent paying job in her field of urban planning.
Wow.
Cannot, and this is a doctor in urban planning, is having a difficult time finding a job that could sustain her life to help her pay for her student loans. And you're talking about like $1,100 a month or something like that at 6% interest. And these are the rich Republicans that went in and said, let's jack up the interest on their student loans.
Yeah, you can't. You know what? It's almost like they want poor people to live good in the good times, like with Thelma and Walona and JJ. You know, I look at
be happy in the projects.
Yeah, be happy
you should
in
be
the
happy
projects.
with an EBT card.
Yes, taking pride in your poverty. There's no honor in being poor. And unless the writers of Good Times were psychics, you tell me why, when you look back at this show that was created 30 years ago, we dealing with the same thing today.
Even worse.
Right.
It's even worse. 30 years ago, I never would have thought it would cost $50,000 for a car. I would have never thought that foreign cars would be so prominent here.
Right.
I just would not have. I did not see that. I saw it coming. Me personally, I saw it coming. But so many people, because we are a culture of followers. You know, that's one of the things you bring about in the book. You know, why is it that we're sheep following along? Why are we the flock? Where are the leaders?
Right.
And the leaders are the 1% that are controlling the purse strings. They're the ones that are, we got to take a break. We'll be back. Corey P. Smith is in studio with us. My bad. We'll be back after this.
Listening to the Mother Love Show on LATalkRadio.com.
Lifestyles. I'm Bobby Owens. Type 2 diabetes is more likely to affect minority populations, including African Americans and Latinos. Mother Love, TV personality and author, has type 2 diabetes and knows firsthand how to deal with it.
To manage diabetes successfully, you must keep a positive attitude and build a strong support team. Make sure you monitor your blood glucose levels often, exercise daily, eat well, and stay informed.
Mother Love says a healthy and balanced diet is very important.
You don't have to skip out on the barbecues, but you do need to watch what you eat. Choose healthy and fresh foods like seasonal fruits and vegetables, lean proteins, and always practice portion control. For snacks, try Glucerna nutrition products. The great-tasting shakes, snack bars, and cereals are formulated to minimize blood sugar spikes when used as a part of a diabetes management plan.
Use Glucerna products under medical supervision. For more information, visit Glucerna.com. That's Lifestyles from the makers of Glucerna. I'm Bobby Owens.
Are you ready to be that person? The person who walks into the room and everyone pauses and says, "Where did that outfit come from?" Well, the only way to be that person is that you're wearing skin tone clothing. Skin tone clothing is 100% natural, hand-woven, raw cotton. And skin tone clothing lays on your skin like no other material. It offers elegance, comfort, and style. So if you're ready to be that person, then shop www.skintone-clothing.com. That's www.skintone-clothing.com. And at your next party, be that person. Skin Tone Clothing, for the skin you're in.
You are now listening to LA Talk Radio, where we can just say what we want. You are now listening to LA Talk Radio, where we can just say what we want.
And Corey P. Smith, who's in studio with me, he is the author of Debt, this book called Conspiracy of Credit. And they who control the credit of the nation hold in the hollow of their hands the destiny of the people. We're talking about the credit bureaus, why student loans are a scam. I want to know, Corey, what is the work number and who owns the work number?
the work number is owned by Equifax, but what it is a company that was created to keep track of people's salary, what they make per hour, what they make per month, what they make per year. And you probably have over 50,000 corporations that report to the work number. And it's like when you go in to apply for a Macy's card, you might put down that you work for Federal Express and you make $60,000 a year. Well, they already know that you only make $15,000 a year because Federal Express has already reported your income to the work
them before you even get there.
Before you even get there.
So they're data mining everything we do?
Everything. That's why when I tell people about the Accurate report and how they, that's a clear way for you to see how they discriminate and redline. There's also the TLO report that's done.
No, what did you say? This Accurate report?
The Accurate report or Accurate report is generated by LexisNexis, and what
that's one of the credit bureaus.
Right. Well, it's not
it's not the big three.
It's not one of the big three, but you might as well say it is one because they work together.
Are they all in cahoots together? TransUnion, Equifax, all of them are in cahoots together.
Yeah, I mean all of
so
them.
are they data mining our information, and are they sharing it with other corporations to find out what we do, what we eat, where we go, what we buy?
That's the whole purpose when I tell people about when you get a discount card at Walgreens or Kroger's or the Farmers Market, wherever they offer.
They tracking everything.
Yeah, they tracking like what you eat. The FBI even gets this information. They know, like, in this particular area, well, the majority of the people buy white sugar or they buy wheat bread and they sell X amount of butter during this time of the month.
So is that why we see so many liquor stores in the black communities and the poor communities, and we see so few fresh fruit stands because they're tracking what people are eating and what they're drinking and what they're doing, and they're doing this just through computers and data mining, and people don't even know?
I wouldn't say so much as the liquor stores. When I talk about,
because you pay cash for liquor.
Right.
Okay, never mind about that.
I think about it in terms of how it's all a lexicon of databases that they use for the sole purpose of what I say, keeping poor people in bondage. Like, this thing it goes so much deeper than...
You make it seem like credit is a form of slavery.
It is.
And not a form of freedom to be able to buy what you want and do what you want.
It's a form of slavery if you don't know how to leverage it, if you don't know how to utilize it.
Let's talk about how do you leverage credit when you're talking about, student loans are a scam. We got work numbers. You got so many things that you say we shouldn't pay for identity protection because it's just a ripoff. That's just a way for them to make money.
Right.
That education is so overrated. Tell us why we are putting. Because on the cover of your book, you got chains on his wrist. He's in bondage.
Right. Because right now my view right now is palm trees and mountains. Right. Mm-hmm. So I always tell my daughter this. I said, you can learn so much about people if you just pay attention to the intelligence of nature. Meaning that everything is energy, believe it or not.
Oh, I know that.
Right? Even money is a form of energy. And I know this from, like, even now, like, I thank God I'm blessed, but even before when I literally can say, oh yeah, I was a millionaire liquid. Meaning, like, I encountered 600 and some thousand once before with my wife. That feeling, you don't want to sleep. It's your energy level is so high when you got money. It's like, man, where I'm gonna go, what I'm gonna buy, what I'm gonna do next. As opposed to when you wake up, and I done been in that place where you don't have no money.
Look, you trying to figure out, I'm robbing Peter to pay Paul. Do I keep the lights on? Do I keep the gas on? Do I go to the grocery store? Do I put gas in my car? Oh, been there, done that.
Exactly. So when you figure that out, and it's not a bad thing, it's like, okay, I just saw this guy walking, he looked like he may have been down and out. When I see a homeless person now, because of what I did with 2 homeless people previously years ago, I know that's over $100,000 right there with that person that can be generated. Because I know what to do with credit. And if I capitalize on that with doing business credit, then I know that same homeless person, I could take him and show him how to get $300,000 and change his life. But he's walking around because he's not paying attention to
what's going
on.
So you're like me. I don't see desolation. I see opportunity. I see promise.
Right.
You know, I don't see a homeless person. I see somebody who needs to get some knowledge, to get a hand up, not a hand out.
Right.
When I see a vacant lot, I'm going, oh, that's terrible. I'm like, how can we get a zone to put some commercial property on that?
Right.
Let's put an apartment building on
Right.
that. You know, and then when you're growing up in Memphis, did you have the naysayers, you know, like, Corey, I don't know what you're trying to think about that. You all in the white man's world with the credit and everything. You just got to step off from it.
I actually, now at this point...
Well, at this point, it probably don't phase you.
Nah, I mean, I got people at this point, it's like, hey, you Oz. Like, they call me Oz.
They put a curtain back, but you're not Oz because you're the real deal.
Right.
You are the real deal. Now, tell us what is retail equation?
Retail equation is... that's also, you can get your retail equation report, but what that is, that's a database of all the returns that you make. If you make a return at Walmart, if you make a return
Lord, have mercy.
right.
They probably got a file 15 feet thick on me.
Right, but they use it in terms of to help skip tracing because they use your driver's license number or your telephone number. And that type of information, once it's consumed by them and resold, is sold out to collection agencies or repo companies that's trying to repo people's cars. Yeah.
It just sounds like all of them are in cahoots together. The credit bureaus, the banks, the grocery stores. What about? Okay, they're trying. It seems like they're doing a lot to get people's medical information online. They're all forcing us to go online, get online, make a doctor's appointment online,
right.
Let us know. Are they going to be involved in that as well with the healthcare system? Are they going to be tracking us that way as well?
Man, they're already involved.
Oh, see, we backpedaling
They
people.
would like for you to believe that, your medical history is not at risk and it's supposed to be private, but I mean, all the way down from the HIPAA database to the MIB, which is the insurance database, they have this
insurance companies too. Are none of us? I mean, so okay. Now, let's just go with this. So now, we know that they have all of our information. How do we work through the system so that it works for us instead of against us? And is that possible?
Yeah, it's possible. And I'm trying to teach people to start thinking and playing in terms of having a team. Mm-hmm. Like, I got a team. Mm-hmm. Like, we kill what we eat, meaning like we gonna figure out how to get ahead in this game to live our life.
On your terms, because poverty, you living it on somebody else's terms.
Right.
I was on welfare once, and in my opinion, welfare is the worst thing that ever happened to black people in this country. To depend on somebody else to feed me, to tell me where I can live, to tell me what kind of clothes I can wear. I was on welfare for 3 months. 30-something years ago, and every time I tell this story, it just does something to me. It just do something to my psyche, to my financial spirit. First time, and all I wanted was the health card, because my husband and I weren't married. I had just had a baby. I had an emergency C-section, and so I had a difficult pregnancy and delivery, so I had to be down for a couple of months.
Right.
And so I said, I just want the health card. Oh, no, you have to take the welfare check and the food stamps. I said, I don't need the welfare. Oh, no, that's not how it works. You just can't pinch them off. They sent me a welfare check, And I had been working since I was 14 years old, so I paid into the federal government system. So I was like, it can't be that much. $215 and $73 worth of food stamps. I just went insane. I was like, I wear $12 pantyhose that are now $22 pantyhose. I wear Hanes. I'm a plus size woman. I'm the reason why we have queen size panties. I can't. Who could live off of this?
Right.
Who could? I got my last welfare check in September. I took it down to the welfare office. I said, I don't need this. I'm back to work. And so here is the way. I left them people arguing over the fact that nobody had ever bought a welfare check back and have not looked back. It did something to my spirit. Right. So this is why we need to learn to become entrepreneurs and learn how to make credit and interest. You know, most people don't even know what compounded daily interest is. They don't even know what their APR means. And they're just, I'll take a credit card. 22% interest? Are you insane?
Right.
And there are things that you can do. Can you give us some of the things that some of the tips that people can do? And also want to let you know, Corey has brought in, I only have 4. He's brought in 4, and I'm going to ask you to autograph them, okay. Just kind of generically. If you'd like to get a copy of Corey's book, you give us a call at 323-203-0815. That's 323-203-0815, and you can call that number, and I will give them away to the to the 10th caller. I'll give them away to the 10th caller. Every 10th caller who calls, I'll give you this book autographed by Corey P. Smith. I'm telling you, you'll be like me. And I do not blow smoke. I don't have time to blow smoke. This one was off the chain. Right. And I like the fact that you were succinct. This is what I want to know. What made you put copies of your own records in here? To illustrate. It's supposed to do that with somebody else's, not Corey P. Smith.
Because I wanted people to know it's real. Mm-hmm. Like when I was at the Black Caucus,
the Congressional Black Caucus.
Yeah,
in D.C.
A few weeks ago,
in D.C.
I sit on like the Finance Matters panel, and then there was another panel that I went and just looked at that Roland Martin was the moderator. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it just amazed me. I'm standing in the back of the room, and they had like Jamal Bryant and some other people up there. And my friend who was sitting here, and he just asked me it's like, man, what you think? And I was like, man, this some BS. Mm. And he was like, why you say that? I said, because you got some of these people up here and they saying stuff like one of them said, well, we just can't continue to be political booty calls, and the crowd went, ooh. And then we had another one say, well, if we don't do XYZ, this is nothing more than a freaknik with clothes on. The crowd went, ooh. And I said, what are they going to do with that? I said, what are they going to do with that? Mm-hmm. I want people to know when they deal with me or they hear some information that I put out, if you really read it, if you really take it in, you're going to be able to use it. Mm-hmm. Like I'm simple. I'm not going to try to woo you with that
fancy words and all these unnecessary paragraphs. I mean, it is succinct, it is clear, it is concise, it is real. I was like, oh my goodness, my new financial guru.
Yeah, so
and I want to learn from the best. And I mean, the way that you put this in here, and I mean, you're not afraid to call names and say who's doing what. I mean, there are things that one of the things before we end up our time here is you say that people can get bankruptcies off of their credit. Right. How can they do that?
Right. Using affidavits, and I got to make these affidavits available on my website where people are able to download exactly, because I talk about them. People are looking for the affidavits. That stuff moves so fast for me. But anytime that you're dealing with a public record, whether it's a bankruptcy or a tax lien, that information is not directly shared with the credit bureaus, which means that it's third-party information. And when you start talking about third-party information and you start dissecting the Fair Credit Reporting Act, it requires that 100% accuracy be provided by the credit bureaus.
And if it's not?
And if it's not, and they can't prove it, you have to remove it. So when you send an affidavit in to the bankruptcy court or the tax deed office for tax liens, and you're telling them, hey, the credit bureaus, Equifax, TransUnion, or Experian stated that they verify this information with your office via phone, email, or fax. They're going to respond to you and tell you, nah, we don't report to the credit bureau. So if they're not reporting to the credit bureaus, then
you have this bankruptcy,
then how is it accurate?
If there's no report.
Right. So I say this, a lot of people, they won't take it this far, but they should. If you don't get the results that you want from the credit bureaus, take them to court.
You saying sue the credit bureau?
I'm saying sue them, and you don't need money. By law, you're not required to pay any money up front. When you sue the credit bureaus, you don't have to pay the money up front.
Do you think they don't do it because they think it's so intimidating?
Yes.
You know, the paperwork, and they inundate you with see, paperwork don't scare me.
Exactly.
When the chick stole my identity, went and bought $5,000 worth of furniture, that was ugly. I couldn't believe it. She was living in a trailer park. She bought furniture for somebody else.
Right.
And I said, this is not my debt, and I'm not going to pay this. Those that I'm responsible for, yes, but those that I'm not paying. And I fought them. They still to this day, if I go to apply for any credit, I have to take in this letter to say this is not my debt.
Right.
Does it ever come off of your credit report?
Yeah, you can get it off. I mean, you got to just deal with the right person, but people, you know, somebody, like you asked me, where did it click for me? When I realized with my life, like, I'm here for a certain period of time, and I realized everything is energy, even the energy of God wanting you to live an abundant life. There's a reason why you feel a certain type of way when you get the better things in life, or you see the better things in life, and you know that you deserve it, right? And they want you to believe, you're living above your means. No, I'm not living above my means. You just want to use your hand
to keep me down, keep your foot on my neck.
Right. And when you talk about being an entrepreneur, when I talk about money, I'm not saying you have to make $1 million a year. There's a difference with working a job, making $80,000 a year, and somebody else calling the shots, and you working for yourself and making $80,000 a year. You have freedom. And that's what it's all about. It's about being free.
To make your own choices.
To make your own choices.
To even make your own screw-ups. Quincy Jones, when I first came here many years ago, I love this man. He had a conversation with me about money. He said, Mother Love, let me tell you something about money in this business. Money doesn't change people. Money only makes you more of the person you already are. If you're kind and you don't have any money, you'll be kind with money. If you're a butthole without money, you're going to be a butthole with money. Money doesn't change people, but understand, always make money work for you. Don't you work for money.
Right.
And when you're talking about the money that you make, you have the freedom to mess up your own money and make your own money grow. Don't ever put it in the hands of an accountant or somebody that you don't trust.
Right.
And that was like some awesome advice for me. One of the things that you do say that, you know, kind of took me aback, because, you know, all of us want the great American dream. But you said, you said buying a house is not always a good investment. Why do you say that when they tell us, buy a house, buy a house, buy a house?
Man, yeah, I want you to buy a house too if I know you can barely afford it and I can lock you in for 30 years, right? You got to understand that when it comes to credit, and we talk about them using them redlining, like every state has a credit score. What does that tell you? Like,
so there's no universal credit score.
When I mean, like, people are granted credit limits and different APRs sometimes based on the state that they live in. Like, California has one of the better credit scores. Like, California, the overall state, has like a 713 credit score, meaning, okay, they're trying to say the majority of people in the state of California
have
make X amount
credit.
of dollars, and as opposed to Tennessee, well, a lot of people here are poor and they don't pay their bills, right? So if they're breaking it down all the way to a dime from that standpoint, sometimes it's not always good to buy a home and look at it in terms of, oh, this is the home I'm gonna raise my kids in and live out the rest of my life, as opposed to saying, okay, I'm just going to go find me a rental property, a duplex, and I'm gonna turn this into a revenue stream, and then I'll move on to the next property.
Now I got 2 apartments over here already.
Right. Even if my family, even if we got to live in this property while I'm doing what I need to do to it and
See,
get it.
that's what it is. So many people don't want to make the sacrifice and do the work. We're just about out of time. I can't believe it. I mean, it just goes by so fast. What would be your top 3 points that you would want to share with the audience about how they can get into the game and understand and make credit work for them?
First, I would say, find out where you stand with credit. The second thing I would say, find you a team.
Who should be on your team?
People that are as hungry as you are. And you will know if they are hungry. All you got to do is just pay attention to what they're doing every day. Now, if they are the types of people that are satisfied with their life, then they don't need to be on your team. The third thing is to stay positive and whether you can see it or not, know that God has a pot of gold for you at the end of the rainbow. You just got to stay focused, stay positive, no matter what.
See, I know that I have several pots of gold at the end of my rainbow because I'm very high maintenance, and I have grandchildren, and they are very high maintenance. And it's people always say high maintenance, no, but I'm not high maintenance to the point that I'm out of my league.
Right.
I'm in my league. I'm in my lane.
Right.
And I have people that have said to me, you want to live in a big fancy house? Yeah, I live in a big fancy house.
Yeah, you know what? Can I say this?
Yes, you could say.
I had to tell, I used to always hear people say, she's a gold digger, right? And I told my wife this one time. I got into a debate with this guy. I said, no, I'm actually going to teach. I want my daughter to be a gold digger. And he was like, why would you say this?
See,
I
his
said,
connotation of gold digger is different from your connotation of
yeah, but
gold
I was
digger.
like, why would I want her to seek out a loser or not seek a guy out who wants the best in life, who wants to make money?
And that doesn't make her a gold digger.
Exactly.
That means her standards are set high.
Exactly.
I remember when I was growing up, I used to tell Mama, I don't like boys. And she was like, why you don't like boys? I'm like, a boy cannot drive me around. He doesn't have a car. I'm not getting on the bus with somebody. I like men with jobs and could do things for me. That's what you want. Give people your website and tell them how they can get a copy of the book.
The book is available everywhere. Anywhere you want to buy a book or download it, it's available. Barnes & Noble, iTunes, Amazon, Books A Million, wherever. My website is www.coreypsmith.com, www.conspiracyofcredit.com, and I, like the great Mother Love, have a YouTube channel that you can check out.
What's the YouTube channel?
Corey P. Smith.
Corey P. Smith. Well, Corey P. Smith, it has been my distinct honor and pleasure to have you on the program. I thought we were going to get through everything, and we did not. So that just means on your next trip to California, please drop by and share the information with us, because you got a brain. It's a good thing you good looking, because you as crazy in the Betsy, but you done took on the credit bureau, and I love it. I love it. But you didn't take them on. You said, let's learn how to work within the parameters of what we had. Right. Corey P. Smith, may the universe continue to open up and conspire for your and your family and everybody that you love for your great success. Thank you. And babies, you know I love you, and there's nothing you can do about this mother loving you. Peace, babies.
If you didn't know before, now you know. This the Mother Love Show. This the Mother Love Show. If you didn't know before, now you know. This the Mother Love Show. This the Mother Love Show.